Dave Fleischer was born in 1884 and was the fifth of the Fleischer brothers. Because there were no official birth certificates, their birthdays were celebrated on July 14th in commemoration of Bastille Day. The family lived on the second floor above a grocery store at 6th Avenue and 50th Street, which is now the current location for Radio City Music Hall in New York. Dave's father was a prominent tailor who catered to high society women. His reputation was so great that the B. Altman department store hired him, then lured his customers away and fired him. This loss of stature plunged the family into poverty, and they moved into the Brownsville section of Brooklyn. Dave attended public school 84 but wasn't attentive. He spent most of his time scribbling in the margin of his books and drawing on his test papers, drawing cartoons all the time. And yet he failed the drawing of an apple because he saw no purpose in it. He wanted to create. A few years later, he was hired as an usher at the Palace Theater, where he was paid $8 a week. At 2 o'clock, he put on an usher's uniform and worked until 11 at night. This exposed Dave to the best vaudeville performers, and he studied their acts and the timing of the comedy. And one of his favorite acts was the pool room routine by Weber and Fields.
Now if I know it.
Back. You've got to keep away 3 feet from the table.
3 feet?
Yes, sir.
Well, when I'm close up, I'm 3 feet away.
Well, that's your misfortune. I can... Here. Put the ball down here.
Put it up there.
Put the ball down here.
No, leave it. I want to hit him.
You must always commence from the pimple. You see the pimple here?
That's a pimple?
That's a pimple, yes. Start from there.
Oh, it's going to be a fight. Keep your seat.
Oh, I'm not worried. Don't worry about it. Now, remember,
What?
you got to bust the balls before you break them.
Oh, you got to break him before you bust him.
Exactly.
I'm going to give him a good connect.
Well, give me that. Give me here. Oh, you silly you.
What?
You must always shoot with the end but the sponge is on, you see?
That's a sponge?
That's a sponge, yes.
No, that's very tight.
Well, it's made from rope. You can't help that now. Now. Are you ready?
Sure.
Now, what are you playing?
Huh?
What are you playing?
Pool, ain't it?
The family then moved to Coney Island. When he went to Steeplechase Park, he saw the clowns and thought he could do better. So he made his own clown costume using a treadle sewing machine and some leftover materials from his father's tailoring shop. He put on the costume and returned to Coney Island and was hired on the spot. And that costume became the foundation for what was to become Coco the Clown. John R. Bray had contracts to produce animated cartoons for theaters. He already had the Bobby Bump series created by his partner Earl Hurd. Bray was impressed with Max's experiment reel and hired him and Dave to produce Out of the Inkwell. Dave directed Max and sometimes acted in some of the scenes. He also helped with the rotoscope tracing, the inking, and photographing the animation. Out of the Inkwell was so successful that Max and Dave started their own studio in 1921. The series was eventually picked up by Warner Brothers and then by Winkler Pictures, who was distributing Felix the Cat and a new novelty called Alice Comedies by a novice producer named Walt Disney. Max and Dave formed their own production and distribution company called Red Seal Pictures. Red Seal was bought by Alfred Weiss, who put Max and Dave under a 5-year contract at $750 per week. One day, Weiss said he wanted to review Dave's contract but couldn't find his copy, so he asked to see Dave's copy. Dave went to his attorney, who advised him to make a photostatic copy and give Weiss his contract. Shortly afterward, Dave's attorney called to say Weiss had altered a page, and they caught him at an attempted forgery. They went to court. Dave was awarded $35,000, and from that, Max and Dave founded Fleischer Studios in March of 1929, the dawn of sound films. And their most successful cartoon to emerge during this period was Betty Boop. She was so popular that she was given her own series starting in 1932. Then Broadway star Helen Kane attempted to sue for $250,000, claiming that Betty Boop had stolen her audience by imitating her. As far as Dave Fleischer was concerned, Betty Boop was just singing a song, even if it had been previously recorded by Helen Kane.
I
But after an investigation, it was discovered that Miss Kane had patterned her performance on a child star named Baby Esther, who was doing impersonations of established female jazz artists like Gertrude Saunders and Florence Mills. So Helen Kane was not original, and she lost the case. The next milestone for Dave Fleischer was Popeye. He felt it was a good subject that lent itself into being an animated sitcom, with the addition of Bluto as the villain.
Boo!
If you aren't the one.
When it comes to beauty, you're not there. You're a rag, a bone, and a hank of hair.
What did you say, Popeye? What's that, Popeye?
I says you're homely, skinny, and thin. You looks like something the cat drugged in.
What?
In order to create a returning audience, Dave and the story crew adopted spinach as Popeye's instant energy source as the climax gimmick that everyone looked forward to. And the image of power and strength shown in Popeye's muscle was the type of imagery typical of Fleischer cartoons that generated cheers and screams of delight in the theaters. Dave would work with the story department for 2 weeks to develop a Popeye story. And then it would go to the animators. Once the animation was completed, the drawings went to the cell inkers and painters. The animation would then be checked for timing and accounting for all art elements going to the camera. Then they would be photographed on 35mm film. Once the film was processed, Dave would assemble the rough cut and assign the studio film cutter to conform the negative to his edit assembly. The entire process of producing a 7-minute cartoon would be 90 days, and they delivered one Popeye cartoon each month. The curiosity about the animated and non-animated dialogue was the result of pre-sync and post-sync techniques. The crucial dialogue or singing would be pre-recorded, with each frame of the syllables counted to animate accurately. But the places where Popeye was mumbling were considered as his thinking out loud.
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. What you got?
Oh, well,
Menu, I don't want any of that. Hamburger, roast duck, hamburgers, soup, hamburgers. Oh, nice selection you got here.
Roast duck.
roast duck?
Yeah, roast duck.
What's the matter, you deef or something?
The pre-recorded and post-recorded dialogue would then be spliced together on a master soundtrack that would include the orchestra. In post-production, there were from 3 to 9 soundtracks to be mixed. If Popeye was playing the piano, he had to be pre-recorded so his fingers would hit the right keys at the right split second to synchronize. Gulliver's Travels was made while the studio was moving from New York to Miami. They had their own soundstage where they shot reference footage for the rotoscope tracings and action references. While they were working feverishly, they were running late on delivering footage because of an idea that Max had to put into the feature. Paramount was worried about missing the deadline, but Dave asked to speak with Barney Balaban, the head of Paramount, and convinced him that he could deliver for Christmas. He was backed up by Dick Murray, the accountant for their finances. He said, "If Dave Fleischer says he can meet the deadline, I believe him." So Balaban agreed, and Gulliver's Travels met its Christmas 1939 release with success. When Fleischer Studios made its second feature, Paramount selected the title Mr. Bug Goes to Town. Dave didn't like it because of its similarity to the Frank Capra film Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. The original intent was to make The Life of a Bee by Maeterlinck, but the rights were controlled by Samuel Goldwyn, and Paramount was not willing to pay his price. So an original story was fashioned based loosely on the book. Mr. Bug Goes to Town was a good picture and superior to Gulliver, but it did not do as well for several reasons. One cited by Dave Fleischer was the budget. Since it was finished for under $1 million, the publicity was not elaborate, even though Balaban asked Dave to make it for $500,000, thinking they could make good money, but it didn't. First, it was rejected by theater operators after the December 5th preview. 2 days later came the attack on Pearl Harbor, just 3 weeks before the scheduled Christmas release. With the nation upset about going to war, Paramount canceled its Christmas bookings for Mr. Bug and finally released it in February 1942 on a double bill with the Preston Sturges comedy Sullivan's Travels, whose title paid a vague homage to Gulliver's Travels. While the Sturges feature was a box office success, Mr. Bug earned only $200,000. After 21 years, Dave left his brother feeling the need to get out on his own. While Max was his older brother and president of Fleischer Studios, they disagreed on the directions that the studio was going in and his handling of business matters. Despite these differences, Dave said he still loved Max and always kept his name first as the producer.
Love is funny. These nights we've been apart, I keep on asking my heart, did anyone call? Did anyone call?